Hi, welcome to the How to Pass National 5 Physical Education video. My name is Kelly Wilson and I am the Principal Teacher of Health and Wellbeing within Dunoon Grammar School. I'm going to take you through how the course is structured and hopefully give you some tips on how to support your child and help them achieve the best grade possible. I'm going to start by going over a brief overview of the course structure. The National 5 Physical Education Award is split into two equally assessed components. The first half is the portfolio, which is a written element of the course and is externally marked by the SQA. And the second half is internally marked and is a one-off practical performance. Like I previously said, the National 5 qualification is split into two components, the portfolio and performance. Each section is marked out of 60 and contributes to 50% to your overall award. So I'm going to start by giving you a little overview of what the portfolio consists of and how you could possibly help your child to succeed. The portfolio tests the pupil's knowledge and understanding of the theoretical components of the course. It revolves around 4 factors: emotional, mental, physical and social, that can move through the cycle of analysis as you seek to understand and develop your performance in one activity. Within our curriculum, we tend to cover this course through one activity, volleyball, and your child will currently be starting this cycle of analysis. Section 1 of the portfolio is worth 8 marks. This tests the knowledge of different impacts each of the 4 factors can have on performance. It requires you to give 2 different examples for each factor in order to make up 8 marks. And it is sat under closed book exam conditions, so you are not allowed to assess any notes during the assessment. Section 2 is investigating, analysing and developing performance. This is worth 29 marks. It tests your knowledge of the first 2 stages of the cycle of analysis. You will then collect information on your current performance levels in 2 factors and analyse your strengths and weaknesses. From here, you will then set yourself appropriate goals and create and implement a development plan to improve your performance in the 2 factors selected. All the questions in this section are sat under open book conditions, so you'll be allowed to access some form of notes to help guide your response. And finally, section 3 is monitoring progress and evaluating effectiveness, which is worth 23 marks. It tests your knowledge on the first 2 stages of the cycle of analysis. You will need to demonstrate your understanding of feedback, monitoring, evaluating and planning your next steps. This will allow you to consider where you go from to further develop your whole performance. Like section 2, the questions in this section are also sat under open book conditions. So what can you do to help your child? Homework is a vital part of this course. Each question will be taught in class with the support of the teacher, and homework will be issued to reinforce this learning. The homework will then be marked and feedback will be provided. The SQA state that feedback can only be given once on this piece of work, so it is paramount that this is completed so your child gets a chance to use the given feedback to improve their answer. Each portfolio will be then sat during class time under exam conditions. I can't stress how important it is that pupils are completing homework and handing it in on the hand-in date. This will give the teacher a chance to mark it and give your child valuable feedback. The aim there is that your child will then go away and take on board that feedback and try and improve their answer before they sit their assessment. Okay, so there are 2 main parts here that as a parent or guardian you can support your child. The first one is ensuring that they are completing homework and handing it in. And the second is once they have completed that homework, they are going back through their feedback, improving their answer, and then revising it before they come in to sit their assessment. We will always send out a text message prior to the assessment so that you at home know when the assessment is, and you can ask your child, have they done the homework, have they looked at the feedback, and are they revising it for the next day? So another way that you could support your child in the portfolio is making sure they have a clear understanding of the command words that they will be faced with in physical education. Our command words increase in difficulty from identify to evaluate. Identify is probably the easiest command word, and this is basically just name something. So for example, they may be asked to identify a mental factor, and the answer would be concentration, and that would be worth 1 mark. Secondly, they would then be asked to describe This is provide a series of statements, and each statement is worth 1 mark. For example, they may get asked to describe a method they used to gather data, and their answer would be the general observation consisted of 6 boxes, all titled with volleyball skills. For example, dig, volley, block, serve, set, and spike. That statement would be worth 1 mark. Then they would maybe move on to a justify question. This is provide a personal reason for doing something. Pupils need to look beyond just describing by starting with a statement and linking it with a reason through the use of because. Again, 1 mark per sentence. For example, justify any changes you made to your physical development program. They could answer with, I changed my shadow practice to a feeder practice because I need to practice my dig under more pressure. Moving on from this, they would go on to an explain question. This is where they're asked to explain a cause and then an effect. So sentence 1 would be a cause. Sentence 2 would be should start with a bridging statement such as this meant or this led to, and this should then lead to the effect. So for example, explain why you used a certain approach to develop the physical factor. They could say, I used a repetition drill because it allowed me to groove the volley technique under no pressure. This meant I built up the muscle memory for the skill with confidence and it started to become automatic. Finally, they may get asked, or they will get asked, in an evaluate question. This is where you make a judgment and support it with evidence. Sentence 1 would be the judgment and sentence 2 would be the evidence. Evidence is where the mark is. For example, they could answer with, the feedback I received was very effective because during my development plan, I was given positive feedback before negative by my teacher. This was excellent because it boosted my confidence and motivation levels, which meant I was even more willing to listen to the areas I needed to improve in order to progress. The pupils will have a range of questions with a range of command words, and we will cover this in class, but it would be good for potentially more support at home to make sure that they are not losing easy marks by not using the correct command word. Okay, the second half of the assessed components of the physical education National 5 is the performance element. So this performance component of the course involves you being assessed in 2 activities. There are still COVID changes to the course, so this year the pupils will only be assessed in 1 activity, and this is a really big advantage for your children as they only need to show us their level of ability in 1 activity. Okay, so that activity will be marked out of 60. And it's split up into these different categories. So we have skill repertoire, which is 8 marks. So that's their range of skills. So for example, if we were talking about badminton, we would be looking to see whether they could perform a high serve, a low serve, a smash, an overhead clear, a drop shot, a net shot, and we would look how they move around the court. Control and fluency, are they performing those skills with control? Okay, or are they only doing it once and then they make 3 mistakes? Their cognitive skills, to what extent do they problem solve and make effective decisions? So are they playing the correct shot at the correct time? Are they leaving the shuttle fall out when it's going out, or are they continuing to play it? Their tactical understanding, so how well do they perform their role and responsibility within the team? In individual activities, how well do you play to your strengths and exploit opponents' weaknesses? So, for example, in badminton, would they be able to identify their opponent's weak hand? For example, maybe they have a weak backhand. Do they play the shot to their backhand, or are they not noticing this? Rules and regulations is a really important one, okay, and it's an easy 2 marks to pick up. So how well do they follow the written and unwritten rules of the activity? So for example, are they serving from the correct side? Do they know when to move from the right to the left? Do they know the court markings? Okay, are they using the correct etiquette? So if the shuttle was to get caught in the net, do they pull it out and hand it over to the person opposite? Okay. are they finally able to control their emotions? This is 2 marks that every pupil should be awarded. Okay, the marks are there for them to lose. How well do they handle their emotions? Sub-factors such as anger, fear, resilience during performance. So what we don't want to see is pupils getting frustrated, potentially arguing with the referee, throwing a racket on the floor, giving up. Okay, so that's the way that the pupils can lose marks in that category. With respect to practical performance, there are ways that you can help your child. The performance assessment, like I said, is with 50% of your child's overall mark. Therefore, it is vital that you encourage your child to practice their skills in their chosen activity. Okay, a lot of the pupils underestimate how much work needs to go into their practical performance. We will not always have time to practice each activity in class, as there is such a wide range of pupil choices, so extracurricular clubs or community clubs are important. Okay, so you could join the badminton club. If you've chosen swimming as your activity, make sure you are going to the club and you are training. We will try and accommodate all pupils' activity choices, but this sometimes is not possible. Okay, the SQA state that we are only allowed to mark activities that we have expertise on, or within the authority there is some form of expertise. So if your child comes to us with snowboarding, for example, and we as a department or as authority do not have the expertise to mark that activity, then we would need to ask your child to choose a different activity, but we will try and accommodate as much as possible. Encourage your child to look at how their performance is marked and how to pick up marks. So like I stated in the previous slide, do they know the rules of the game? Do they know what position they want to play? Okay, so they do need to put a little bit of thought into what activity they have chosen. If they have chosen an activity such as gymnastics or trampolining, are they putting the work in prior to the assessment to make up their routine? Have they been coming in to seek advice to how to make it better? And finally, that performance assessment usually takes place in February time. Okay, so there's plenty of time for your child to practice before we do this assessment. Okay, finally, other resources that are out there that you could maybe direct your child towards. All our PowerPoints, booklets, materials and resources are posted regularly onto the Google Classroom. Okay, so your child should be familiar with this. If they miss a lesson, then they just need to go on and catch up on what they have missed. I would also direct you towards the BBC Bite Size National 5 PE website. It's very helpful. It breaks down the work in a really easy and understandable way. Thirdly, there is a book. There is a National 4 and National 5 physical education book out there. The department has a store of these, so you don't need to go away and buy them. They are quite useful, and it does give them a little bit of extra resources that they can use to help them understand the course. And finally, we will be offering supported study on a regular basis that your child can come along to, but also would encourage them, if there is a specific question or homework question that they don't understand, that they just come down to the department and ask, okay, as opposed to leaving it to the day that the assessment is and saying we don't understand. Okay, making sure that they come down and they seek that help early on so that we can support them. Okay, I'm really hoping that this video has provided you with a better insight into the course and some of the resources that are out there to help your child to succeed. Thank you.